Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Live. I am again trying to get back on track and do this on a regular basis. I missed several weeks for those of you that tune in on a regular basis because I have been out showing houses. The market's been insane with the competition for properties and multiple offers and all that good stuff. So, here we go. I am back on track. I'm going to try my best here to always do every Monday night, best I can. So I want to say welcome to every one of you that are here this evening. It's always a little bit of a slow start with this because I want to sync everything up. I want to see comments. I want to see who's watching and all that good stuff. I'm using a format called Be Live. So if any of you are thinking about doing auctions or you need to go live like this, BeLive.tv is a great place to do that. So let's get started. This evening, I want to talk about two different things. And the first one is 10 critical steps to avoid when you're buying a home. I'm going to go back to all the basics with a lot of this because with the new buyers and sellers entering the market all the time, I'm figuring, I'm probably better off just sticking with the basics for people so that they can get this information in a timely fashion. It's always available on my website under my blog at tomsummersrealestate.com if you guys want to look for things. I also have a YouTube channel called Realtorology, and there you can find all kinds of videos and audios about every possible scenario you can think of with purchasing or selling real estate. So tonight, let's get started with the 10 most critical things to avoid mistake-wise when buying a house. The first one is making an offer on a home without being pre-qualified. How this even happens is beyond me, because one of the first steps that you want to take when you are buying a house is to sit down with a loan officer and talk with them about where your comfort level is, not only how much you can afford, but also what your payment's going to be, because more often than not, you're going to be approved for a lot more than what you'll actually spend. And that's okay. You shouldn't spend to the top of your range. You want to spend where you're comfortable. So it's important to have that information. But if you go in and you write an offer on a purchase for a house and you're not qualified, that can be horrible, because now you're using your inspection period to get out of the sale if all of a sudden you're having a problem and you can't afford the house. So it's also on the shoulders of the realtor to not allow you to write an offer on a home if you haven't gone through the pre-approval process. The second one is not having a home inspection. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Some of these agents in these multiple offers are convincing their buyers it's okay to forego a home inspection. I'm going to say this to you. It's never okay to give up your right to have a home inspection, because I've been in thousands of homes. I've helped my brother-in-law, Jerry, build homes. I have gutted 3. I've done almost everything imaginable from a project standpoint, from plumbing to electrical to everything. And I still don't know it all. So just because I take you through a house and I say, hey, this looks good, the mechanicals look somewhat newer, the roof looks good, siding looks good, foundation looks good, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to see through those walls and catch something that an inspector with the proper tools will. So never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, ever give up your right to have a home inspection, because you can find yourself in a world of hurt. Because once everything is said and done and the house closes and you now own it, if you've got a problem when you've given up your right to have a home inspection, you could literally lose 10, 20 grand on a repair that they hid from you. So never, ever do that. Number 3, limiting your search. The wider net you cast, the better shot you have of finding the home that you really want to be in. Unless you have specific needs for a child or kids that have to be in a certain school district or a certain elementary school, open your search up, because again, the wider net you cast, the better chance you have of finding that right house. And if you're going to put yourself in a position where you're only willing to live like I don't know, in one specific neighborhood of Minneapolis, it's going to take you considerably longer to find that right house, and that right house may not come along for several years, where there's all these other ones that are passing you by simply because you didn't open yourself up to it. Number 4 is choosing someone, real estate agent as well as a loan officer, that's not committed to their real estate relationship with you. My apologies. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. I don't want to turn this into sales pitch, because that's not the intention. But the intention is you have to be careful who you hire. I've had 3 loan officers tell me over the last 3 months, or try to convince me to commit loan fraud. These aren't people that I work with on a regular basis. And quite honestly, I was shocked. And that's not in your best interest. Make sure you hire someone who's ethical, who's moral, and is going to always tell you the truth. That's essentially what that means. And you just can't make the assumption that somebody who talks a good game is going to care. It's no different than someone who gets on the radio and says, oh, we've sold 600 houses already this year. Okay, well, great, but you have a team of probably 20 or 30 people, so you probably should have sold that many. And then you become nothing more than a number. You're just another cog in the wheel of the sales. Do they actually care about what's happening to you? Are they going to put their best people in position to help you, or are you getting the new person who literally hasn't written a purchase agreement before? You have to think about these things, critical thinking skills, and make your decisions wisely. Thinking there's only one perfect house for you, that's also a myth, and it gets people in trouble. Look, I get it. It's hard when you're buying a house because you want to love the home you're moving into, and I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't. But it's still also a really big investment, and you have to allow houses to come and go. Sometimes you're going to lose out on a multiple offer because someone's willing to pay more or their terms are better. So be it, you move on, but it always works out. And hey, Dawn will tell you right in the middle of it as we speak, and her and her husband John are getting the coolest house on the river, on Mississippi River. And it was one that we thought we lost, and it all worked out. But the point is we've looked at a lot of them, and they are the quintessential example of someone who casts a wide net. We looked all over. We looked at some real clunkers, and we saw some great houses, but they're going to land in a really good spot now because of it. Number 6, not considering your long-term needs. This is really important because you never know what life is going to throw at you. And the last thing you want to do is move into a house and you've already outgrown it. So you want to avoid having that lateral move where you're moving from, I don't know, an apartment or a townhouse to another home that's literally not any bigger. Your furniture isn't going to get smaller. So you have to think about where you want to live, what type of home you need. How many bedrooms? Do you need 2 family rooms because you've got kids? Because the kids grow. So right now you want them around you and they're real young, but once they get to be teenager age, you might want to have a space for them to hang out in the family room in the basement so that they're over at your place more than somewhere else. So those are the types of things that you need to kind of think about. And also too, how long is your drive? How far do you have to go to work, and how much extra money are you spending on gas and other things to get to where you need to be? So considering where you're going to work and your drive time is another big thing. It's different for everybody, but it's things to consider. 7, not talking to insurance agents and looking for the best policy. Some people just jump right in and they don't do any research at all. And I always think that when you bundle your home and auto, you can typically save money. And it's also important to take the time to sit down with that insurance agent and say, okay, well, how much is my monthly payment, or how much is the fee for the year for my home insurance if I want a $200 deductible versus a $2,000 deductible? Sometimes you can save a pretty good amount of money every year just by knowing the answers to those questions. 8, this one is important too, but it's not important all the time. It's the one that is in certain situations. So it is not getting a home protection plan or a home warranty. If you're buying something that's brand new, you probably don't need it. But if you have a house that you're purchasing that you love that maybe has an older furnace and an older air conditioner or older appliances, this is a really big thing, because if you can have the seller pay for one for you for the first year, then you're looking at a $100 trip charge for something. And if they can't fix it, they're going to replace it for you. So it can save you an incredible amount of money. And then after the first year, you can say, all right, was that worth it? How much did we use it? And is there a company that will give us a better deal and we want to continue it, or you stay with the one that you're at? So it's a great way to cut down on worrying about things that you shouldn't have to worry about. And that kind of takes care of everything. Number 9 is not knowing the total costs involved. It's hard to believe that we're at that point still where this could be an issue, but I'm going to lay it out for you. So if you're selling your house, I sit down with you and I tell you what I think the house is worth and what it'll sell for. We find out how much you owe on your house, and then the different fees that come out, from taxes to commission to seller paid closing costs, whatever it is. I give you a bottom line so you know what your amount is you're going to walk away with. I'm usually within about $1,000. So at least you can plan forward and go, okay, we have X amount of dollars to put down on the next home, which also helps you determine your pricing for the home you're going to buy. On the buy side, knowing all of the different things as far as loan origination fees that the lender will help you with, to taxes, to escrow, and all those different things. It's important that you sit down. Most of the professionals, be it real estate agents or loan officers, will sit down and disclose all of this to you, but it's important that you ask questions and never feel bad. If you don't know something or it doesn't make sense to you, ask the question. And if it still doesn't make sense, ask the question again until you get an answer that you understand. So there's nothing wrong with asking the questions, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. Lastly is not following through with your due diligence. This one's a big one too, meaning that you really want to research where you're going to live. You want to research and look at your budget, figure out what's comfortable for a monthly house payment, and make sure that you do all of the things you need to do, whether it's vetting your loan officer, your closer, your real estate agent, and being part of the conversation. You can't just hand it over to somebody and just assume they're going to take care of everything. They've got to be a good communicator. They have to tell you, hey, this happened, or what do you want me to do here? Here's what this means. You want someone who's literally going to hold your hand through the whole process, answer all of your questions, and make sure you understand what you're getting into. So those are the 10 critical mistakes that I typically see buyers make. And it doesn't matter if you're a first-time home buyer or if you are someone who has bought 3 or 4 homes. If you're not doing it every year and you haven't done a ton of them, how would you know? And it's easy to forget. So just ask the questions. Hi, Kelly. How are you tonight? Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I really appreciate the support. The second thing I would like to talk about is, are you ready to sell your home? What I mean by that is this the right time? And again, I'm not going to go into a sales pitch. I want to talk about what it means to be ready to sell a home. Have you done your improvements? Have you gotten the house prepared to sell? Have you gotten rid of all the clutter? Have you cleaned up extra furniture that you don't need and put away items that you don't use on a regular basis? It sounds kind of simple and maybe a little silly, but being organized and having things ready to go can make a huge difference, not only in how easy it is to get your home sold, but just the process itself. So if you know you need to paint and you're thinking about selling in the next couple of years, then paint the house. Take some time to put the gutters up or fix the gutters, fix broken windows, doors, wood that's rotting around, a door frame, whatever it might be. There are so many projects that all of us as homeowners have to do on a regular basis that the first thing you want to do before you consider selling the house is think about, okay, What would I think about my home if I was looking at it to buy? What's wrong with it? What can we do to improve? Because one of the things that some of these realtors will do is they'll come in and sit down with you and try and to convince you to spend all this extra money that you don't necessarily have to. I've always been a big believer in hold on to as much money as you can and use it towards the new home you're going to purchase. Yes, you want to fix things that are critical or that are problematic, but you don't necessarily have to just throw a ton of money at something. Sometimes you're better off leaving a house that hasn't been updated and making sure that it's clean and well cared for than to do the updates, because inevitably you're going to make the wrong decision. If you try to put new carpet in or put in a new kitchen, you're going to get it wrong, because chances are whatever it is you like is not going to be what the buyer likes. So you're better off to adjust your price accordingly, not do the updates, and allow them to say, okay, well, if we can get it for this price, now we don't, we can do it the way we want to do it. The main thing is cleaning the house, making sure it's well cared for and ready to be sold. That's the key. And there's a lot more to it than that, but I at least wanted to throw it out there because I think sometimes people kind of, they decide on a whim, hey, let's sell the house because we hear the market's good or whatever. And then you have an agent come out and sit down with you and you're like, oh my God, we still have to paint and we have to fix the roof, or we have, to weed the backyard, or we have whatever it might be. There's a million different scenarios. So think it through ahead of time and make a list before you get to that point, so you can slowly work on things over the next year or so before you are ready to put it on. So that's kind of the basic, what I wanted to say. Doug, thank you so much. I appreciate that you like the points I'm sharing. Everything's good. I am having a great week. I feel like this market is still absolutely insane. And I've got some new listings coming on. So if you guys are looking for something in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area, let me know. A couple of really cool, unique properties. So there's always something cool going on in the market. And I can also give you information about coming soons. Just basic questions, but like I said, you can go to my website and you can read my blog. You can hop on YouTube if you want to watch or listen to some videos. I'm here to help, and I want to do these on Monday night because I think it makes a difference for people. I get a lot of feedback. I try to tell stories whenever I can, but sometimes I forget because there's been so many weird things. I think the strangest experience I ever had is I had to go down to the county jail once to have my seller sign the paperwork. She got so excited that the house was closing the next day and she was divorcing her husband and was able to get away from her, or him, excuse me, that she went to the casino, drank a little bit too much, and ended up getting a DUI. And it came to closing that day and we're like, where is she? No one knew. Turns out that she had gotten locked up for a DUI and hadn't seen the judge yet. So I had to drive down there with a closer and we had to have her sign paperwork through like this graded metal thing. So I could go on for hours with stories like that. It's definitely an interesting career to be in. I really support you guys as much as I can, and I appreciate the support you give me. So I hope that you guys have a great evening. Unless you have any questions, I will cut it short and call it a day. I've got some more paperwork to do this evening, but I wanted to touch in with you, and I just got a brand new web camera. So let me know if it looks okay and if it sounds okay. I think this is a jump up from the last one I had. This one is a 4K high definition, and I think it makes a big difference. So that's about all I got. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. If you have any questions, if you know anyone that is buying or selling or needs some help, please send them my way. I promise you I'll take care of them just like they're my family. Have a great week. Be good to each other. Do something for yourself. And I will talk to you next week. Thanks so much, guys. See you soon.